Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 5. Ta ekta tu munaya. Ta ekta tu munaya. Rakta huta hutakyana. Satkirtam sutam asinam. Prachuritam adrata. Ta ekta tu manaya. Prata huta hutakyana. Satkritam sutta asinam. Prachur idam adrahat. Ta ekta huta munaya. Prata huta hutakyana. Satkritam sutam asinam. Prachuritam adrahat.
Ta ekadatu munaya. Rata huta hutaknaya. Satkritam sutam asinam. Prachur idam adarat.
Satkritam sutam asyanam.
Paprachur idam adarat.
Prachur idam adarat.
Ta ekadatu munaya.
Ekadatu munaya.
Rata huta hutagnaya.
Prata huta hutagnaya.
Satkritam sutam asinam.
Satkritam sutam asinam.
Prachur idam adarat.
Prachur idam adarat.
Ta ekatu munaya.
Ekadatu munaya.
Rata huta hutagnaya.
Prata huta hutagnaya.
Satkram sutam asnam.
Satkritam sutam asyanam.
Prachur idam adata.
Prachur idam adarat. Word for word translation. They, the sages. Ekta, one day. Two, but. Munaya, sages. Prata, morning. Huta, burning. Huta Agnaya, the sacrificial fire. Satkritam, due respect. Sutam, Sri Sutta Goswami. Asinam, seated on. Prachur, made inquiries. Idam, on this, as follows. Adarat, with due regard. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. One day, after finishing their morning duties by burning a sacrificial fire and offering a seat of steam to Srila Sutta Goswami, the great sages made inquiries with great respect about the following matters. brought by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. Morning is best time to hold spiritual services. The great sages offered the speaker of the Bhagavatam an elevated seat of respect called the Vyasa Asan, or the seat of Sri Vyasadeva. Sri Vyasadeva is the original spiritual preceptor for all men, and all other preceptors are considered to be his representative. A representative is one who can exactly represent the point of view of Sri Vyasadeva. Sri Vyasadeva impregnated the message of Srimad Bhagavatam onto Sri Sukadeva Goswami, and Srila Sutta Goswami heard it from him, Sri Sukadeva Goswami. All bona fide representatives of Sri Vyasadeva in this chain of disciplic succession are to be understood to be Goswamis. These Goswamis restrain from their senses and they stick to the path made by the previous Acharyas. The Goswamis do not deliver lectures of the Srimad Bhagavatam capriciously. Rather, they execute their services more carefully, following the procedures the predecessors who delivered their spiritual message unbroken to them. Those who listen to the Srimad Bhagavatam may put questions to the speaker in order to elicit a clear meaning, but this should be not done in a challenging spirit. One should submit questions with great regard for the speaker and the subject matter. This is the way recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. One must learn the transcendental subject by submissive oral reception from the right sources. Therefore, these sages addressed the speaker Sutta Goswami with great respect. Om Gyantimidandasya Gyananjalashlakaya Chakshurun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you everyone for inviting us to share, and it's a real honor and pleasure to be here in this beautiful place of New Mayapur. I think it's a very beautiful offering to Srila Prabhupada, and the devotees are so humble and sweet, and I think many people that visit here from all over fall in love with this place. So it's really wonderful to be here. And thank you for allowing me to share something and to be of service, even though I have no qualifications to share or to be in this position of sharing. But I will try my best to serve. We're right at the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is very exciting. So you guys are going on an exciting journey. It's very special. And so we had Kesha Swami come a month ago. Sharing 3 days of lectures as well, and he was also sharing about the Bhagavatam and some good speakers that you have coming through. And the first canto is very important, and not the first canto, but the first chapter. And we're kind of just setting the scene here. We're trying to get to the beginning of where we are. Yesterday we heard about the forest of Naimisharanya, where the sages were getting together and they were performing a sacrifice, and the significance of that place. And Prabhu was sharing with us how actually this place is somewhere where we can, through the sacrifice, we can remove ourselves from birth and death and all kind of sacrifices that are made. The ultimate sacrifice is that to Krishna, is that to Vishnu. And now in this purport we're hearing about the idea of waking up in the morning and performing the morning duties. And Prabhupada also writes that in the purport. It's the first line he makes is, morning is the best time to hold spiritual services. I'm going to keep this class interactive, so we can also be engaged in it, and it's just my way of speaking. So I'm going to put a question to you guys. Why do you feel morning is such an important time for spiritual services, spiritual practice? Why the morning? Why not another time of the day?
Because it's mode of goodness.
Mode of goodness? Yeah.
The mind is more open.
Mind is more open. Yeah. Why is the mind more open in the morning?
It's came from the night.
Yeah. Yeah, less things have come about, less distractions, less things in your mind. Yeah. Definitely. Any other reason? You said mode of goodness. Why do we feel it's a mode of goodness?
That's prescribed in the scriptures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it says in the scriptures that
From 4:30 to 8:30 approximately.
yeah, yeah, 4:30 to 8:30. Yeah, some say it's actually also from 2 o'clock, 2 till 8. That's what I heard. But yeah. Anyone else? Maybe personal example. What do you feel in the morning when you wake up and you do your round in the morning, or you come to Mangalarti, or
There's less distractions.
less distractions? You're more focused. You're more.
It's a good start.
It's a good start. Yeah, it's a good start to the day. Yeah. Yeah, the morning is a very special time. It's a Brahma Muhurat. It's a prescribed time for us to conduct our spiritual practices. And you can feel, actually, when you wake up, I mean, this is a great place to wake up early in the morning, but you can see that the day hasn't started yet for most people. You know, that passion hasn't been injected into the world. You can see that the energy is very balanced, it's very calm, it's the birds are singing, the sun is rising. So even if you just look at it through an observatory lens, you can see that how peaceful this time of morning is. And morning is a time of contemplation, it's a time of connection, and it's that window where we can really form that connection with whatever we're trying to connect with. And obviously for us it's Krishna. That Brahma Muhurat forms a window of deepening our spiritual practice and being more conscious and having more benefit from it. Mataji would mention that you have more of a clear mind in the morning. When we wake up in the morning, what's the first thing now? Okay, modern society. What's the first thing most people do when they wake up in the morning? Check their phones. Okay, yeah. Let's get a survey. How many of you woke up this morning and checked your phones?
My alarm clock.
Yeah. We now have no choice. We end up telling to ourselves waking up in the morning, and actually it's scientifically proven how when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is often how your day will be. When we check our phones in the morning, often it releases a chemical, it releases a dopamine in your mind, and that ends up making you check your phone every day. So a lot of people now, when they wake up, the first thing they do is open their phone, check their WhatsApp, check their Instagram, etc., etc. You see, but what we're learning from the Bhagavatam here, the first point is morning time is best to hold spiritual practices. That is actually the most important part. You know, the Brahmanas, when they would wake up in the morning, they would make sure that their consciousness is fully focused on their objective, their goal, right? They say morning is the womb, right? It's the seed, it's the beginning, right? It's the starting place. And how you start your day is how you mean to go on. You know, there's a saying, intend as you mean to go on. So how you start is how you plan for that day. So Prabhupada would often say that we should Shri Shri Gauranitai ki Jai, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai, Shri Shri Bala Govinda Madhav ki Jai. Prabhupada would often say, you know, we should wake up at 4 a.m. I remember Chandrabali Swami saying to me that he would say, if you sleep at 10 p.m., wake up at 4 a.m. If you sleep at 11 p.m., you should wake up at 4 a.m. If you sleep at 12 p.m., you should wake up at 4 a.m. Yeah, Prabhupada was really emphasizing this point of waking up early in the morning in that period. And you can see actually, like, the devotees who wake up early in the morning, you know, they have an effulgence, they have their day is clear, their mind is clear. And not only does it help you with your, so yes, it helps you with your spiritual duty, spiritual connection, but your whole day then has that injection of spiritual practice. Spiritual knowledge is best received in that morning period as well. Although we're learning all the time, but you're much more likely to absorb, you know, that morning routine. Sometimes people do these things when you're studying for exams, you know. Sometimes people have this thing of all-nighters. You know, they stay up all night and they study. Actually, like that studying period, they're actually connecting with the Brahma Muhurat. So what they think is an all-nighter, they're just getting that benefits from that specific window where we can absorb more knowledge. I don't recommend anybody stays up all night, but actually, like, that early morning period is going to make the biggest difference in our Krishna consciousness. And ultimately, what are we trying to do? Go back to Godhead, go back to Krishna.
I was thinking, you know, I'm trying to learn something, it's for Krishna, and I was thinking if it would be a good idea to do that actually in the morning. I know we're supposed to go morning program, we can still go maybe first part and then study on something. You think it's good, or should we do that or no?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that question. So in this purport, it's talking about the sages were performing a fire sacrifice in the morning. Right? This is what it's mentioning in the verse, and Prabhupada also mentions in his lecture, a yagna, fire sacrifice. And Prabhupada has given us the morning prescription, right? So Prabhupada mentions when he's talking about this lecture that there's other groups that do fire sacrifices in the morning. You know, they used to get a fire, they put wood, etc. But what Prabhupada has done is he's given us a special prescription in that morning. So he's given us something organized with, we have the Mangalarti, we have the Tulsi Puja, we have the Guru Puja, and then we have the Bhagavatam class. It's like a fixed set routine. And sometimes we wonder, why has Prabhupada given us this? Like, why is it like this and in this order? And you see, like, when you follow the morning program, follow as much as you can, follow it to the T, like as much as you can, there's many benefits that you get. One is, when you wake up in the morning and you're in the Mangalarti, you're seeing the Lord, you're absorbing the darshan of Krishna, number one. Number two, you get your rounds done with Tulsi. You do the Tulsi Puja, you're worshipping Tulsi, it's a beautiful arti. Then you get your rounds done. Then you have the Bhagavatam class. Why is the Bhagavatam class so important? Somebody asked this question, out of all the morning programs, which part of the morning program would you say is most important? And the answer was given that the Bhagavatam class was most important. Why? Is because you're hearing, and also you're hearing with others, you're hearing with devotees, you're present there. So there's a special thing that happens when you're with others and you're connecting. Obviously, individually, people may have different preferences or inclinations, but generally it's recommended to follow the routine of the morning program. But obviously we have different services and things going on and inclinations, but I would say as a rule of thumb, try and follow the prescription as we can. Yes?
Yeah, I think it's also natural for people to have habits.
Yes. Yeah. Just share a bit more about that?
Not really, no.
Okay.
But
So,
I think most people do have habits.
habits, yeah.
Whatever habits they may be.
Yeah. Sometimes good habits, sometimes not so good
Yeah.
habits. There's this book called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I mean, it's all taken from the Shastra anyway. Like any of these self-help books, they come from the Shastra. And it talks about how if we want to cultivate a good habit, there's different things you have to do. And one of them is setting yourself up with the right environment. So if in your surroundings you have the right, correct environment, then you're more likely to follow that habit. I think if you're staying in a temple or if you're in a home and you have that setup where you can have a morning program, you can have your own routine, then you're more likely to be in good habits. But obviously it's not easy. I know it's hard, like people waking up early in the morning, getting to that good habit. It's very easy to slip and get into that, bad.
And vice versa.
Yes.
Getting rid of bad habits, avoiding situations which, if you're a smoker, you avoid smokers.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, they say, if you hang around with people, so like for the morning, if you hang around people who are sleeping late, you're going to wake up late. But if you hang around with the devotees who are sleeping early, you don't have anybody to talk to at night if all the devotees are asleep. If you're with all the everybody's waking up early, so you're going to wake up early. But yeah, so this is Prabhupada's given this very nice routine. We wake up early in the morning. We try and have a shower. We have certain rituals we do in the morning. Everybody comes downstairs, worships, greets the Lord. And if you're at home, you have your own program. And and this is our sacrifice. The morning program is our tapasya, is our sacrifice that we do. And that sets you up for the whole day. They say, book distributors, they say, if you have a good morning program, good morning routine, you're more likely to do better in your books. You're more likely to do better in your day. And that's the way Krishna's orchestrated the day for us, where morning is for connecting with Him. Then 9 a.m. is for us to be in the mode of passion, where we then do our work, we do our services, we go to, the world starts, and everybody's, luckily we're not in a city here, but, everyone's hitting the traffic jam, dropping the kids to school, all that mode of passion begins, the day starts, you get work done. So it's not a bad thing, mode of passion also, especially in the day when you can utilize it. And then in the evening is time for rest, so you rest properly. But then the question is, how do we maintain that? I think a lot of people out there, they struggle with maintaining this routine. How do we maintain this morning program? How do we maintain this morning ritual sacrifice? They say, early to bed, early to rise, keeps a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Yeah, it starts from the night before. Everything starts when we do things in the mode of goodness. Mode of goodness means how do you prepare the night before? Even utilizing, and that means utilizing the mode of ignorance in the correct way. Because even the mode of ignorance you can utilize by sleeping early, by being ready for your morning. So in that sense, we have to make sure. When we hang around when we're with devotees, and I've been with swamis, and they're just so disciplined with waking up early. They're just so disciplined. It doesn't matter how much programs they've had the night before, how exhausted they are. For them, there's not such a thing called a lie-in, So it's very important because it's really holds our spiritual life much together. I'm preaching to myself, by the way. There's no... I also should have that also. And I think it's such an important part of our daily life. But being around devotees makes it a lot easier. Another thing Prabhupada mentions, actually, when he's talking about this in his lecture to this purport, he mentions about how we should regulate our eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. We often overlook this, but as devotees, we should also think about these things as well. So, eating. When we eat less, then it's much easier to wake up early in the morning. It's very difficult with the prasad, amazing prasad we get here in New Marlborough. It's very tasty, very amazing. I had 2 meals yesterday and both were like amazing meals. Every time I come here, the food is so great. But we have to be regulated with our eating. Eat what we devotees eat prasad. And that really helps us. We have a glass of milk before we sleep. We try and eat a balanced diet, clean food, it's offered. But also, as devotees, it's very easy to eat a lot. So we kind of eat regularly, regulated. Sleeping, how many hours do we need to sleep? And I think you have to be honest with yourself. Not everybody has the same amount of hours they need. Some people may need 6 hours, some people need 5, some people need 8, some people need 10. I don't know if anybody needs 10 hours here. But yeah, people need time. And whatever it is for you, but then you just work backwards. Mating, we're regulated in our Krishna consciousness, we take a vow. And defending, how much do we over-endeavor, for our work, for our service. So I come from the UK, and we have a temple there in London, and it's right in the city. And in the city, there's all these office buildings, right? And you see that these people, when you're in London, people are going to work at 6, 7 a.m., right? They're dressed up, they're packed in the subway, in the tube. And a lot of them are leaving at 8, 9 p.m. And I have some people I know that work in this kind of environment. Sometimes they leave at 12, 1 in the morning. Now, can you imagine the austerity that they're doing? Going so early, and I remember I was with Keshav Swami, and we were driving to an event in Canary Wharf, which is like one of the most prominent buildings in the UK. It's like the trade towers in New York. It's like where all the offices are. So we went there to a program, and it was 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. and I was driving, and I said, and we were looking at the windows, and there were lots of people still in the office. And Mara said, look at all these people, they're working so hard still in the office. And I said, Mara, why do people work so hard? Like, what are they doing at this time, still in the office? And Mara said, people do anything for money. People do anything to work hard just to get a bit of money. So, how much are we over-endeavoring? How much are we spending that time? So we have to be in check. We have to see, okay, what is this eating, sleeping, mating, and defending? And how can we, as devotees, be satisfied in giving importance to our Krishna consciousness? I mean, we all have this idea, yes, money is something we're not going to take. What do we take with us? We take our spiritual connection with Krishna. That is the most important thing. But actually, most people don't realize the value of this. So we have to see, okay, how much am I over-endeavoring in my life, and how can I be most sustainable to conduce and give importance to our spiritual practice. So my personal example, you know, I try not to reduce my hours of work and, you know, the days I work, so I can give back to Krishna consciousness. Sometimes you get this question of, oh, you only work part-time? What? Why? What's wrong with you? Yeah, I want to say, what's wrong with you? You work so many hours. You know? But actually life is meant for devotion. Life is meant for Krishna consciousness. You know, it's not that we reach an old age and then we try and do bhakti. Sometimes I come from an Indian background, and sometimes they say, yeah, you're supposed to work hard, and when you get old then you can think about bhakti then, but how do we know when we're going to reach that age? Are we going to reach that age? Prabhupada talks about sannyas in this purport. When he's giving the lecture, he talks about sannyas, and he says in the Vedic times, sannyas should be given at the age of 60. That's the age of roughly when you're 50, after 50, 60, you're supposed to take sannyas then. So the question is, why did Prabhupada give sannyas at such a young age? There's two reasons Prabhupada gives. Why do you think Prabhupada gave sannyas at such a young age?
Gave sannyas to others, you mean?
Yes. Why?
And the others were young aged.
Yes. In the movement, we had a lot of people, so now people take sannyas at young age. Kesha Swami was one of our youngest sannyasis.
Who knows? He wasn't going to be here. And they weren't going to be older when he was here.
So he wanted to continue, So he wanted to continue the movement. He did it for the preaching, right? To spread the Sankirtan movement. And who took sannyas at a young age by our example? Who in our Premananda? Lord Chaitanya. Yes. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24. And we follow that example. We're following the example of Lord Chaitanya. And the reason he took sannyas was to preach. To preach, to share Krishna consciousness. And then the other reason Prabhupada also gives is like, who knows what age you're going to reach? Nobody knows. The other day we had, on the news, we had the plane crash there was a flight going from Ahmedabad in Gujarat to Gatwick Airport to the UK. And all of the passengers, they passed away. And we knew two families from there at the manor. So one family I knew personally, and they had just buried their father. Not buried, but they had just burnt their father's ashes, and then they were going to India, and they were coming back, and it was the mum, wife, and daughter-in-law, and then the baby. And then all three had passed away. And then another family who was served at the manor, they were devotees, and they had lost their son 3 years ago, also in a plane crash. And then and then both of the parents passed away in a plane crash. So who knows what age we're going to reach. So therefore it's really, really critical how we prioritize our Krishna consciousness. And what's the result if we do that? You know, what do we receive by prioritizing our Krishna consciousness? Ultimately we are happier. You know, we go back to Godhead. We can connect through that connection with Krishna. Our relationships are better. Our interactions are better. We feel better. We feel more youthful. We feel more connected. It's an unexplained feeling. You know, I think when we actually do this outreach preaching, and at the manor we do this thing called Be a Monk Challenge. Right? So people come for a week and they stay at the manor. Do you guys do this here as well, or you're thinking about maybe?
Yeah, we do.
You do it here. So you know the results. People come here.
be a monk for
Be a monk for a week, yeah. It's such an amazing program actually, and I think many people become devotees from Be a Monk Challenge. And they see the results though, when they come and they're experiencing that. And it's good because when you add the word challenge in, it motivates people like, oh yeah, I'm going to take this challenge to wake up early. Just recently we had some important delegates come to the manor. And one of the ambassadors, he saw this Be a Monk Challenge, and he was like, oh, I'm interested in doing this, because I'm not sure though about it. He said, what time do you wake up? And we said, oh, we start at 4:30. He goes, oh, I'm not sure about that. But then you can probe him, it's like, yeah, but are you up for a challenge? And everybody loves a challenge, But yeah, they see the result. Because, after you do it for a while, you feel the benefit. You feel how much it benefits you, how much it affects your life, it affects your relationship. And then it's like, once you do it, it's hard to go back. You know the modes. You're more in touch with, when you start waking, like moving to the switching to waking up late, not being around with devotees, you feel it. Because you've tasted what's better, you've tasted the ideal. And yes, so that's about eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and how we should wake up early in the morning. The next part of this purport, Prabhupada emphasizes, I just spoke about one line about holding spiritual services in the morning, but just another thing I wanted to touch base on is the respect for the Guru, or the respect for our Gurus and us receiving that knowledge. So in here, it's talking about how Sutta Goswami is given proper respect. He's given proper acknowledgement. He's given a comfortable seat. Why do we give so much respect to our gurus? Why do you feel it's so important that we give proper respect to our gurus?
Because they can liberate us.
They can liberate us. Yeah. Anybody else?
He's giving something precious.
Yeah. Something precious. And actually, it's the most precious thing. The most precious thing. When we receive that knowledge, it's changing our thinking. Right? Knowledge is so important because it changes the way we think. When we understand the Bhagavatam class, when we understand Prabhupada's lectures, when we understand his books, it changes our thinking. And when we change our thinking, it changes our feeling. Right? How we feel to something. Then it changes our willing. How we act, how we do, how we perform, what we do.
That also goes for the person that you're giving respect to. If you respect somebody, they're more willing to share. They have that invokes a feeling within them as well, and they're willing to share that. And that goes with anything in life.
Yes.
If you show someone respect, usually they're more willing to, participate, share, be friends, whatever.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. This is a psychology 101, what you just said.
I don't know about psychology.
It's human nature, When you are respectful to someone and when you're open to someone, they're more likely to give, they're more likely to share. That gate is more likely to open. It's like, that's why we serve the sannyasis or the gurus, the spiritual masters, so they're pleased. And if they're pleased, then who's pleased? Krishna. And Krishna is pleased, then he can open that knowledge. So one time Prabhu, he explained it to me as a triangle. It's like a triangle. Krishna's at the top. His devotee is here, and then you're here, or the person wanting to receive the knowledge. So if you can please the devotee, he can petition to Krishna, because Krishna is in his heart, to give this person this knowledge and give them bhakti, and then Krishna then can give that to you, right? So therefore, if we're able to please the devotee, then we are able to receive that knowledge. And this is why also we pray to Radharani. She's closest to Krishna, right? So and then she can petition, okay, give this person this knowledge. So yeah, it's so important to please the devotees, please the Vaishnavas, please the sannyasis, please the gurus, so they can share and give us this wisdom. I mean, they're so merciful, Prabhupada's so merciful that he will give it to you, he'll share it with you. And this is what Lord Chaitanya's movement is. When we go on book distribution, we're on the street. It's cold sometimes, it's long, it's hard, you're tired. But the devotees are so merciful that they share that knowledge, they give that knowledge. But it works the other way as well, right? When we're respectful to the person we're trying to give the book to or the knowledge to, their hearts open. It's about opening the heart. When you give respect, you open the heart, and that's what it comes down to, because we are creatures of wanting to love and be loved. And this is Krishna consciousness. We're a family of devotees. We try to be like a family. Sometimes we have so many issues in projects or in temples or dealings with devotees. But if you just learn to respect someone, if you just learn to put aside your ego, you just learn to be humble, then that person will go out of their way for you. Devotees are just generally, I always find whenever I go to temples and they're just so sweet. They'll go out of their way for you. They'll do so much for you. Like you, bro, you're a great example of that. Somebody, that's what the nature of the devotees are. So yeah, offering proper respect, you can receive that knowledge. But yes, I don't know if anyone's been in modern education now. They're schooled or homeschooled, right?
I'm homeschooling my kids because I'm not putting them into education, but I'm a teacher.
Okay, you're
And I
a
still do
teacher.
university ones.
Okay. What grade did you teach?
Oh, I teach language universally.
Okay.
So I can go into any school and teach children who are learning.
Yeah.
But I'm not specialized of one class because I work in remedial way. So
Right.
fixing language problems or introducing new language.
So you've been to the schools, you know what the current situation is. The teacher receives almost zero respect nowadays. Kids are completely, literally like now, it's not about teaching, right? It's more about behavioral management. The kids.
It really depends. The teacher, if they love you, they respect you. Be a good teacher and they will love you.
Yeah. Ideally we should. The teacher's good, then they can receive respect. But
that's
we.
in an ideal world.
That's
Ideal world.
Yeah.
It should be like that.
I was a teacher, so I know.
Yeah, it depends which age group, I think.
Yeah.
It's not so much age dependent. Really, the situation is if you as a teacher take responsibility, then you have to, with care and love, generate a role model, yourself as a role model. You have to be authentic. Children of any age, they know if you mean and you are authentic and you're genuine in your sentiment, and they know if you're not. It doesn't matter the age. She had the experience of being at school, and her first grade teacher and her second grade teacher were terrible. And actually in the second grade she had two teachers who were switching. They were terrible. But one week, the oldest teacher in the school, who was like the vice principal and who didn't teach anymore, and was actually an alcoholic, she took over the class. And it was the first time my daughter came back from school going, oh, I love school. So we think, okay, but how can an alcoholic be a good teacher? Because she was the only one whose interest was actually focused genuinely on the well-being of the children. All the other teachers in that school, and this is why I took her from school, all the other teachers in that school, they would say they were making impressions on the children for the desire to make impressions on the children, but they were not demonstrating, they were not role models. And the authenticity was always lacking. So when the authenticity is there, there, it doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter if child or adult. When you are authentically demonstrating first your own humility, and then that you really, out of affection for that person, want to make their life better, not out of control. And this is really misunderstood. If you're trying to control someone, finished. Krishna has to show you that you are not the controller. But if you see, oh, this person is suffering, what can I do? Then it doesn't matter the age. You will always make an impact. And this is what's lacking in the school system. Because children and parents and adults, they actually don't care, teachers, they actually don't care for one another's suffering. Consequently, it becomes this, I'm right, you're wrong. And then respect cannot be there. Because if you don't first understand, okay, this person has this wound, how can you address it? How can you clean it? How can you take the necessary measures to take a healing process? And actually, we're all here wounded. We are all full of, not samskar. Anarthas, thank you. And each of these anarthas is just a wound. But if we don't take that respectful understanding, and so this is the problem I'm teaching, and this is why my kids are homeschooled.
Great advert for homeschooling. Yeah, it's completely correct, Mataji, what you said, and it's thanks for sharing that. This is the problem we have with society, actually, and we don't have Varanashram, because we don't have Brahmanas. Teachers are generally teachers are the Brahmanas, and Brahmanas by nature are caring, kind, considerate. We should have teachers who are devotees, who are actually giving what is the real purpose of life. And through that comes that compassion, that love, that care. And if we have a system where the teachers are placed correctly, they humble themselves, they are devotees or Krishna conscious themselves, they are in the right mode, in the right varna, then only then can you grow the children to become that future generation to then pass on, and can sustain that. But without proper Varanashram, without proper education system, we are constantly in a struggle where we're all going to face that in society. It's going to be this thing we attended once, this Varanashram Finding Your Dharma course with Mother Urmila. I attended that at the Manor. It was very good. And she was saying how teachers would, by the age of 7, 8, would identify what is the child's nature. And then the child would be grown into that. You can identify that from a young age. But that means that's that point you're making, being authentic. Teacher is authentic to their varna, and then they can spot the varna of the children. And then the varna of the children, they remain authentic. And everyone is rightly placed. But we're in an explosive society. We don't give respect. We don't give respect to knowledge, right? And that's what it comes down to. We respect the knowledge. We follow that, and we have to be really see and catch ourselves to make sure we're able to give respect to others. And ultimately, the world is literally about how can I respect people around us, how can I respect the devotees, how can I respect, even Mother Nature, even the animals, even the trees, But in this idea of sharing Krishna consciousness, the Vedic philosophy is, you give respect to the gurus, you give respect to the brahmanas. The brahmana is given a Vyas Asan. The brahmana is given as a guru, is respected. And another nice point that Prabhupada makes here is, even when we want to inquire a question, we don't inquire in a challenging way. We inquire in a submissive way, a way that we can, through humility, try to understand what am I trying to learn? What is what is the message I'm trying to receive? You see, the Vedic philosophy, if you look at all our scriptures, it's all based on questions and answers, right? So this Bhagavatam is a series of questions and answers. The Bhagavad Gita, questions and answers. So even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have many places of questions and answers. But this time in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya asks the questions to Ramananda Rai. And he churns that nectar of knowledge. But you see, we're in a proper questions and answers. So questions are so important. One lady asked Prabhupada in the lecture, Prabhupada, I'm having so many doubts. Like, what should I do? How can I stop my doubts? And Prabhupada said, no, don't stop your doubts. Just ask questions. Questions are a sign of intelligence. Why? Because you're contemplating the knowledge. You're trying to remove your doubts. You're trying to think about it. You're trying to understand it. But how do we ask that question? How do we think of it? Is we try to understand it in a submissive way. Why? Because we don't know. There's a graph, like at the beginning, people who know a little bit, just have a little bit of knowledge, they think they know everything, right? And then when you get more knowledge, you realize you know nothing. Because it's like, okay, I thought I knew something, but actually there's a vast amount and I don't know anything. So really, we have to have that humility that actually I don't know anything. And we're constantly learning, and this is what Krishna consciousness really like. If you actually look at the advanced devotees, the sannyasis, or if you see the advanced devotees, they have that humility. They'll attend the Bhagavatam class. You see Pankajangir Prabhu and Janivas Prabhu from Mayapur. Such senior devotees, but every day they would attend the Bhagavatam class. It doesn't matter who's speaking. Keshav Swami, Keshav Maharaj, and the Mana, he'll attend the Bhagavatam class. It doesn't matter who's speaking. I've seen also Chandramuri Swami, he would also attend classes. It's that humility. I can also learn. The moment we think that we know everything, it's a dangerous place to be. We should always try to be humble. And often the meditation, actually it's not meditation I have intentionally. I think Krishna just humbled me. But I was thinking, that mood we have when we first come to Krishna consciousness, where we're just trying to learn everything, and we want to know more and more and more. Often that mood slips.
That mood
slips. Okay. We forget. We lose that. Once we're in it for a while, no, I know everything now. I know I'm a devotee, I have my services, But really, try and meditate on what were you like when you came at the beginning. How were you humble? How were you trying to learn from others? How would you admire other devotees, their seniority? You would say, oh wow, Prabhu, wow, you know so much. Oh my God, If we can maintain that mood of wanting to learn from others, wanting to have that humble position, then we can make progress. We can make progress. And more times, often than not, if we don't do it intentionally, Krishna will do it for you. So, Krishna will humble you. I think Keshav Swami talks about this as well. Krishna likes people who are humble, right? Krishna who likes people who, give respect to others. My mum also says this often. She says, the person who, bows gets favor from the Lord. If you bow, you get favor from the Lord. And often that's what we have to do, is just be humble. And if we can be humble, then we can learn. And this is the idea of learning submissively. So, in the Gita it says, I think it's chapter 4, verse 36. Tattvidi pranipatena, praniprasthana sevaya. So we ask in that humble spirit, and through humility we can make progress, we can learn, we can grow. And the result is we have that knowledge of Krishna correctly from the right source, the right person. Respect that right person, we can receive that knowledge in a different place and deeper space in our heart, and we can make progress in Krishna consciousness. I guess I'll stop there. Any corrections, comments, questions? Okay, so we can end the class there? Yeah? Okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.